Welcome to the Big Fish. I'm Captain C.T. Williams. We are running through the Biloxi Marsh with a great show for you today. We're on board with Captain Mike Gallo, Angling Adventures of Louisiana out of Slidell. Made a choppy run across Lake Bourne this morning, but the protected waters of the Biloxi Marsh are looking pretty good. The water's clean. We're in late summer. We're in that hurricane season, sort of the peak of it. As we speak right now, Dorian has just made its way over the Atlantic, and we've got a few more popping up behind us. So this is a good little break for the Gulf of Mexico, and this time to be out looking for some redfish. We'll do some sight casting. We'll sit down with Captain Mike and we'll talk about what's been going on here in the marsh and what conditions he's been looking for in order to catch a bunch of redfish. Of course, later we'll head on down to 808 Bienville, GW Fins, see what Chef Tenny has going on in the kitchen. Got a few products to share with you today. Got a couple that haven't even come out yet that you ought to be aware of, so you can look out for them. I'll tell you what, right now, as Captain Mike gets the boat ready, let's talk to him a little about what's been going on. Mike, it's a little windy coming across, but the fact is, once you're in the marsh, you're well protected, and that wind helps with the massive heat we've been experiencing here in South Louisiana. What's having this water? I'm looking at this water this morning, pretty clear. The redfish bite been pretty good?
Redfish bite has been pretty good. Been pretty good, pretty consistent. I don't want to jinx us.
Keep going.
I'll catch my limit today.
You will.
I'm not sure about it.
Okay.
Just lay that challenge out there right now.
Well, talk to me about what's been going on, what you've been doing. I mean, you told me popping cork, and then the first thing you throw is a spinner bait. Is it just you're throwing me off the track, or are the techniques really not as important as the area?
Well, I definitely think the area plays a part. With the water being high, the popping cork is just deadly at calling them to you. You're sitting in the strike zone, making sounds where they can come find you, whereas I kind of have to land within 3 feet of him where he'll feel the vibration and come get it.
Yeah, that's it.
So I just don't want to fish the same thing, because if they want this, then I'm sure we'll switch over.
Sure.
There's lots of bait, clean, moving water. We got the Holy Trinity. We just need to catch some.
Just got to do some. All right, last question is, before we get serious about our fishing, how important is understanding the tide? If the water's high, what are you doing? If it's low, what are you doing? If it's going in, what are you doing? If it's falling, what are you doing?
Well, I kind of have a saying that I sort of live by, which is, that saying is low and long, high and tight. And if the water's high, you want to be tight to the grass. If it's low where you can see the mud, you can be a long way from the grass, maybe 10 or 15 feet. As far as knowing the direction the tide's moving helps you decide where the ambush point of a point is.
It's going to be
front side of the point or the back side of a point.
Inside of a pond, outside of a pond.
Yes.
That kind of
yes.
All right, well, we've got an incoming tide, at least for a little while. We've got a light wind, and we've got the water clarity about a foot, about a foot deep. So what are we doing right here? Just pounding shoreline?
Yep.
Well, let's pound some shoreline.
Points, pockets, coves.
All right, so we've got the equipment, we've got the Berkeley Gulp, we're shallow under a cork, he's throwing a spinnerbait. You've got the scoop on how we're gonna approach this today. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll see how well it works. Welcome back to the Big Fish. We are in the Biloxi Marsh, in the heart of the Biloxi Marsh, doing a little red fishing with Captain Mike Gallo, Angling Adventures of Slidell, Louisiana. We have just put the engine away and the rod tips out, drop the trolling motor, and put on a little Berkeley Gulp. Mike's fishing with a spinnerbait. I've got a gulp under a cork, and we'll see what this shoreline has to offer.
There we go.
Right off the point where they ought to be. I'm gonna put one, see if he's got a buddy over there. There we go. You need a net, or you gonna flip it?
No, he's gonna jump.
Either flip or bolt.
He's gonna jump.
1, 2, 3.
Look at that.
Jump! So wait, so you put the trolling motor in high gear away from that spot.
No.
Explain.
I didn't want to go over the top of it.
He's just on the edge of that grass bed. Come on.
No, he's not bad.
Big orange pumpkin colored thing.
Bigger than the other one.
All right. Oh, look at this. Gee whiz. Driving me crazy. It's a brown red.
Still bigger than the last one you caught.
It is bigger than the last. You are 60% there. What are we looking at?
Oh, he's a pretty boy. He's nice and orange. He's right out there by the grass. Is he gonna make the swim team or the travel squad?
He's in there. No, he's just a hair short.
Swim team. I might have seen one.
That one sounds like a good one. Not like those little babies you've been catching. Oh, not a little baby.
I gotta say something negative about my fish. Just got to.
It's a beautiful fish, Mike. It's a beautiful fish.
He is pretty. He'll look good down there at GW Fins.
No, I bet he will. Is it an 80%er? Oh yeah, it looks like it might be 80%.
80% bigger than yours? What are you trying to say?
Mm-hmm, yep. So even though they're only 16 and 17 inches, Mike does have 80% of his limit.
Oh, man.
And I haven't gotten any yet.
Gotta say something negative.
So I'm gonna go to a cork like Capt Mike's doing.
That was a spinner.
So, oh, Mike did it.
I think they're
so you
biting
got 2 and
everything.
2. You got 2 on spinner.
I think they're biting everything.
Oh yeah, you know, you're probably right. Except my bait. Captain Error.
Fish on!
Fish on. Took him long enough to kind of get that. It sat on the point for a good couple of minutes. Boom. Under the popping cork. Yes, it's a slow start, but a start nonetheless. A lot of color to him. Let's see. Look at it here. 17. 17.
Surface, look at you.
Little
Is that a bass?
Little tiny, little red,
Look
little
at
red.
there.
Little tiny red.
Oh.
Are you 40? 40%, not 40 fish. A little slow today in the Biloxi Marsh, but not bad. Berkeley Havoc. Grass Pig Jr., Berkeley Grass Pig Jr., sort of a silver mullet colored. Making a little comeback, in the marsh.
Uh-oh.
Let's see here. And the answer is 17 inches. 40%. I am 40% away from, 60% away from my limit. What are you, 40 or 20? You're 40.
20.
You're not 20.
Open that box, there's 6 in there.
So he only needs one more. You take a break. I'm gonna go wipe my hand.
Ah, look at there.
Bring him right by. Come on in. Get him. Get him. And lip. Nice, nice. That's it. Go sit down. Number 5. Number 5.
Oh, get him. Fish on.
Well, you know.
Boy, that's a big one. Hang on, I got to get the net.
So we are fishing with an ultralight old Berkeley rod with a new Battle 1000, smallest battle they make. I just figured we'd have some fun with some of these reds. All right. I can head him up a little bit. Ta-da! Battle 1000. A beautiful red, a great little fight on a Battle 1000, and another fish for the box. I'll tell you what, I'm gonna put him in the box, but send you to the kitchen, down to 808 Bienville, GW Fins Restaurant with Chef Tenny Flynn.
All right, this morning on the Big Fish Show, we're going to be cooking Parmesan crusted redfish. Cooks very quickly, easy to do, but you have to have an iron skillet. It does not work in Teflon, it doesn't work in anything else. And I'm going to spray the fish pretty thoroughly with a vegetable spray, just Pam, any kind of neutral spray you've got. And I'm going to dredge that hard in grated Parmesan cheese, just plain old grated Parm. And I'm going to add a little bit of oil in my pan. No butter this time, just a little bit of oil. Just to lightly coat it. And I'm going to put cheese side down in the pan and let it work. I'm also going to put a little piece of cheese in the other side of the pan. It's going to make a little wafer. And that's going to help me judge when to turn the fish. And we're going to add capers. We're going to just saute them in the pan with the fish after we turn it. Some fresh Dissolvents jumbo lump, some cooked asparagus, and we're going to make a little brown butter in the pan, add some parsley and pour it over the top. So we're going to check that fish in about 2 minutes. All right, if you can see my little wafer here on the side, it looks like it's ready to turn. So you can see it turns easily. It's light golden brown. I'm going to give this fish a try. I think we're good. Oh, look at that golden brownness. Now my asparagus is already pre-blanched, so I'm going to reheat that in the pan right with the fish. And I'm going to go ahead and put my capers in there as well. I'm going to put that on the plate. Put the fish on top. I'm going to put the capers on top of that. Then I'm going to crank my fire up as high as it'll go, and we're going to brown a little butter. Right in with my crab meat. And right over the top of our fish. Garnish that with a little fresh chopped parsley. And this is a dish that we serve at GW Fins with sheephead, with drum. And it's also in my cookbook, The Deep End of Flavor, which is available here at the restaurant. I'll be happy to sign it for you. Or you can go to our website and order it there, and I'll still sign it for you.
GW Fins has dinner items so fresh they print a new menu daily. Give them a call and tell them CT said to give you the best seat in the house.
Reel up.
Ah. All right, I'll take it. Come on.
What did I do with the net?
Did you see that?
I did.
That was talented.
I got it.
You're not going anywhere, buddy.
Boy, he ate that gulp.
He had a lot of time.
It is gone.
Oh, and he would. Look at that. Now I'm going to shorten my leader. It's going to be perfect. A great day, though. Boy, I tell you, there's no doubt that the redfish are pretty much stacked up in here. I think the biggest issue today was super high water, so they could be anywhere. With a little bit of a challenge in that in super high water, you might be thinking of going back in the ponds, but you have so much grass dying out here. I would imagine that affects the temperature of the water, the oxygen of the water, the clarity of the water. I mean, the environment as a whole doesn't seem as inviting as it normally would. Now, there was plenty of bait back here, so if the redfish can put up with the nastiness of it, they certainly have a lot of food. What do you see as the pattern? I mean, what are the ponds going to come back? Or are you staying for the next 2 weeks? Are you staying in the canals? What are you doing? How are you fishing over here?
I would imagine that short a span, I'll probably be in the bayous where there's current. Less grass where there's more current. And there'll be more and more of it dying and cleaning up the ponds.
Letting the tides kind of wash them out.
Over the next 2-3 weeks.
Once it gets cooler, you have a chance of more salt, cooler temperatures, some clarity. All right. What's interesting in the canals, though, is that when you think of the canals, you think of deeper water, but you're fishing just the opposite of that.
Yeah, I found some bayous that might be 3 feet deep in the middle during high tide. So it's almost a long and windy pond.
So your shorelines are less than a foot, and you're fishing a less than a foot. You know, you're fishing maybe a foot at the most when the cork drops down.
I'm about 10 inches under the cork.
Yeah.
With the gulp, and part of that theory is I want that bait above the grass where he can see it. I want it suspending, and shrimp and minnows.
Seaweed grass.
Yeah, right, submerged vegetation.
Right.
Down on the bottom. The grass that's still alive and hadn't, died and floated to the surface yet.
Well, and you think in the high tides, those redfish are likely looking into the grass for food, So the higher you put that bait, the better.
In his field of vision, and the cork calls him.
And that's probably the most impressive part is that close to the bait, you really would think that you've got a chance of scaring the fish. You are pulling a cork right next to the bait itself, and with speckled trout you would scare them. It'd be a little too much. But the redfish, half the time they're biting your cork anyway.
Right.
So it doesn't bother them. It just brings them in closer. One of the other interesting things about today was that on an incoming tide, on one side of the marsh, you're seeing the water coming in. On the other side, on the Lake Bourne side, it looks like it's going out, but it's still filling up. But it's
Right.
coming through the marsh, so you can still work the shoreline if it's protected and have water coming out of drains, which a fish would ambush.
Certainly relate to.
Right.
Yes, yes. A great observation, CT.
Wow,
You've done this before.
So on a lee shore in Lake Bourne, is that an opportunity?
Oh, sure. Yeah, we've caught them on the lee shorelines within the last couple of weeks, but it's been windy and it pushed me in. And like I said, we caught 30 in there on Saturday and released them all. So I kind of knew they were still there.
Is there any one part of the marsh that is better than the other?
Yeah, my last 4 or 5 trips have been sort of like today. You know, not fast action, but fast enough where you don't leave. We may have had 10 or 15 minutes without a bite, you know, and then you catch one, and catch another one, or miss one. And you're thinking, well, they're here, or we found a few more. No need to leave.
Talk to me about bait in the marsh.
A lot of bait in the marsh. I'm seeing shrimp jumping, I'm seeing pogies, I'm seeing lots of mullet. So plenty of bait in the marsh. The marsh looks good. The marsh looks no different than it would on a normal year at this time. Grass starting to die, moving out with the tide. We're setting up for a perfect fall. It'll be a great fall season.
There you go. All right, Cap. Well, we're about to head across Lake Bourne. We are on the lee shore of Lake Bourne with a not a terrible wind. What is it, 11, 12? But by the time we get to the other side, it could be a little splashy. So while we take the time to get across the lake, I have to tell you that we're out of time on the Big Fish today. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed fishing with Mike and I. I hope you learned some tips. Hope you picked up some spots and places where you can come over here to the Biloxi Marsh and catch fish like we did. But if we don't see you over here doing that, please join us right back here next week. Thanks for watching.
All right, you want to flip him? No?
I don't think let's see. Nope.
Hey, come off.
Nah. What we got? Might be my throwback. This might be my throwback, Mike. And again, it might not. Come on. You are 16. All right, come on, is that legit? That's 16. It's actually 16 and a half. Oh, if I put his tail to it, it's 16 and 3/4. Oh, now wait a minute. All right, it's my throwback. It's not quite legal.
Oh.
Your lucky day.
I didn't lose an inch.
All right, now we even. We both got a throwback.